I directed a sketch where you were a maker.
Which one?
I directed a sketch. I don't remember. What I remember is like George brought me in because I did one with Bobby Lee too.
Okay.
And I did Puppet Cop with that show with Cass and G.
Mm-hmm.
And then I directed a sketch for you, and I wanted to be like Citizen Kane, you know. I wanted to put the cameras all around and do takes, and you were like, "This is how we do YouTube. You film people don't know anything."
What? Do you remember what sketch it was?
No, I don't remember. I know it was at your house, and it was like you guys used to shoot so fast.
Man, that's funny because I feel like now, after just like shooting so many sketches with Maker, and like Maker was the first time I had my own like, you know, crew, and I was working with real like lighting people and stuff like
Right.
that. I feel like now I probably operate way differently than I did back then. Now I'm like, oh, let's get these different angles. Let's do like so many takes, you know? Now I'm
Right.
like, oh, okay, nah, do this and this and that. Well,
So
how about
funny.
that?
Yeah. If you could go back in time, you know, what time would you go to?
You know? Oh, like if I could go back in time to any like
Yeah, if you
in
could
history?
get that DeLorean.
Oh. I mean, let's see. I mean, my first thought is I would go back to one of my birthdays. Now this is I'll get more historical in a second, but I would go back to one of my birthdays where I smashed this woman unprotected, and I should have worn a condom because I was kind of drunk, and it wasn't a very good decision, you know? And it just wasn't a good decision, you know what I'm saying? And I look back now, I'm like, I put myself through so much stress for like a month. I should have just put a condom on with that girl. I should have just went home, to be honest. I would have went in and I would have slapped myself on the ass and said, "Get out of there, man!" And then
That's the historic run that you want to write. Is that?
Okay. And then actually, if we're talking historically, let's see. I would love to go to. I think where would I go? Maybe I would go back to like when everything I look back on just feels so miserable. You know what I'm saying? Like everything just like it was terrible back then. Maybe I'll go back to like the 60s. You know, where everybody's just like free love and drugs, and you know, STDs weren't like as big of a scare yet. I feel like free love would have been a fun time to experience. You know, maybe go to Woodstock.
Yeah.
And just like have a good time. Yeah, that would have been cool.
Were your parents there?
My dad was definitely, he was doing his thing in the 60s. He wasn't at Woodstock, but he was probably on some type of drugs. Yeah.
Sure. And would you have been friends with your dad?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would have had a good time, definitely.
Yeah. Would you have kissed your mom?
You know what? I don't know if my mom was necessarily my type.
Like Marty?
Like Marty, you know, Marty made out with his mom a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would happen with me and my mom, but who knows, man? Free love, you know? Who knows who you were kissing back then.
All right. And if you were to go back to an alternative reality and you've met an alternative you know?
Yeah.
What do you think that person would be like? Or was there a time in, you know, a big decision in your life that if you had taken the other path, you would have been a different person?
Well, let's go back because my life could have been drastically different because, you know, I was born in Montana, in Billings, Montana, and my dad moved to LA, Long Beach, LA when I was a baby. So every once in a while I think about if he would have just stayed in Montana, would I still be like doing this type of thing? Would I still be a YouTuber? Would I still be like on TV and stuff? I don't know, man. I feel like if I was in Montana, I would have been, you know, we probably would have been one of the only Asian families out there. Probably would have had a little Thai food restaurant, which we had in Paramount, California as well. But maybe I would have just ended up, you know, I don't know. What do they do in Montana?
Yeah, you wouldn't have this sort of opportunities probably.
I don't know. I feel like maybe I would have been. I still would have been a class clown. I still would have been
Right.
goofy and enjoying performing and stuff. But probably would have been at the local theater in Billings, Montana. Who knows? Doing improv with a bunch of other cowfolk.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't even know what they do in Montana, to be honest. But I would love to visit one day. Shout out to Billings.
In 1985, when the movie came out, you weren't even born. So
not yet born yet.
when did you see Back to the Future for the first time?
Back to the Future was just my dad was always it was one of his favorite movies too. So whenever it was on, we would watch together, and he would always put me on to like some classic movies, and Back to the Future was just like, I could watch it over and over and over again, and I just thought Marty McFly was so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I mean, it reminds me of my childhood too. But what about it makes it your favorite movie? What does resonate?
I mean, I always liked like science fiction type stuff, and I also liked high school type vibes as well. Like Saved by the Bell, and that was my shit growing up. And I thought it was just a fun mix of some little science fiction. Like I love time travel stuff. I think it's such a fun thing to think about, and plus, like Marty McFly, he's a short king like me, and he's still super confident, didn't care what anybody thought, unless they called him a chicken. And ladies loved him, and I always try to rep for my short kings as well,
Right.
Just be confident out here, regardless of the height, So I think I just kind of I thought Marty McFly was like a role model, And I think it's one of those movies that you can watch over and over and over again, even though it's going to happen. You still get like excited, you still feel the tension of like, oh my God, oh God, he got it. Oh, oh Lord,
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I love this movie is because usually science fiction is a little darker, or like, you go to this alternative realities and something terrible is happening, and this feels very 80s with the energy, and like it's just fun, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, dude, that's what I love about I love that about 80s movies too. I love the kind of like campiness, fun, almost like corniness of it, right? And no one does that anymore. I think it was just a happier time for us growing up in that era. And it's one of those things that you can watch, and it puts you in a good mood.
Yeah, I think, and the original Marty, I don't know if you remember that they casted Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly, and he was such a serious actor, and he would overanalyze things and would feel very depressed in the past because like he didn't understand why, and coming back to a future where like things have being altered, he thought, oh, this is so sad for this character. He missed on this whole life, so he was always like over analyzing everything. He wasn't being able to, I guess, have fun.
I see.
So I think the directors eventually said, the director and the writer said, like, no, we need, he's not right for this.
You're killing the vibe,
right? Exactly. He wasn't able to get that fun thing,
It was too heavy
for something light,